one grain of rice. Liberality, generosity, and charity are some qualities that a ruler should be endowed with. The welfare of his people must be his prime motive. Read the story of a ruler who disappoints his people. However, Rani, a village girl, tricks the Raja into giving the people their due. In this process, she makes the Raja become aware of his duties as a king. Long ago in India, there lived a Raja who believed he was wise and fair, as a Raja should be. The people in his province were rice farmers. The Raja decreed that everyone must give nearly all of their rice to him. I will store the rice safely, the Raja promised the people, so that in time of famine, everyone will have rice to eat and no one will go hungry. Each year, the Raja's rice collectors gathered nearly all of the people's rice and carried it away to the royal storehouses. So, where is the story set? The story is set in India. Okay. And the Raja believed that he was a very good Raja. He believed he was wise and he believed he was fair. What is the meaning of fair? Fair means treat everybody equally, don't do partiality. That is the meaning of being fair. Okay. Now, what did the people in his province do for a living? They were rice farmers. Okay. So they grew rice in their farms. So what did the Raja do? He decreed. Decreed means to give an order. Okay. He gave an order that everyone should give nearly all their rice to him. They should only keep enough what they require for their consumption. The rest of it, the Raja wanted to keep. Now, why did he want to keep it? He promised the people that he would take this rice and keep it safely for them in his royal storehouses, so that in case there was a famine, he would give the rice back to the people. He promised the people, and so the people gave the Raja every time nearly all the rice that they had, and they kept only very little enough for themselves. Okay. Now let's see what happens in the second paragraph. For many years, the rice grew well. The people gave nearly all of their rice to the Raja, and the storehouses were always full. But the people were left with only enough rice to feed themselves. Then, one year, the rice grew badly, and there was famine and hunger. The people had no rice to give the Raja, and they had no rice to eat. So all these years, the grain was growing very well. People were giving the Raja most of their grain, and the Raja was storing it for the people. But suddenly one year, there was a famine. Now, what is a famine? A famine is a condition where there's no rainfall. And because there's no rainfall, crop doesn't grow. So there is hunger everywhere. Okay, people don't get food to eat. The animals and birds also don't get food to eat. So this happened one year. After many years of good crop, one year there was a famine. And what happened? The people had no rice of their own. Why? Because most of the rice used to go to the Raja. So what did the Raja's ministers do? The Raja's ministers implored him. Implored means to beg. Okay. They begged him, Your Highness, let us open the royal storehouses and give the rice to the people as you promised. No, cried the Raja. How do I know how long the famine will last? I must have the rice for myself. Promise or no promise, a Raja must not go hungry. Now we see over here the true colors of the Raja come up. When his ministers told him, they begged him, Raja, all your people are going hungry. They are dying of hunger. Please give them the rice from the storehouse. What did the Raja say? He went back on his promise. He broke his promise. He says, no, I want to keep the rice for myself. Why? Because I do not know when the famine will last and for how long. I should not go hungry. He's not bothered about his people or his subjects. He's only bothered about himself. Okay. Time went on and the people grew more and more hungry. But the Raja would not give out the rice. One day, the Raja ordered a feast for himself and his courtiers, and it seemed to him a Raja should feast now and then, even when there is famine. Okay. Now, what did he do? He was so insensitive, this Raja, that when his people were going hungry, he wanted to have a feast for himself and his courtiers. Okay. He was so insensitive. He thought a Raja should have a feast now and then, even when there was a famine. So, a servant led an elephant from a royal storehouse to the palace, carrying two full baskets of rice. A village girl named Rani saw that a trickle of rice was falling from one of the baskets. Quickly, she jumped up and walked along beside the elephant, catching the falling rice in her skirt. So, for the feast, one of the servants went to the royal storehouse and he brought two basketfuls of rice on an elephant's back, and he was bringing it back to the palace. Now there was a hole in one of the baskets and rice was trickling down. Trickling means to fall in a small stream. So this rice was falling from the hole. And who noticed it? A little girl, village girl called Rani. And she quickly thought that she'll collect the rice and give it back to the Raja. So you can see this little girl Rani, she has a long skirt. So she picked up her long skirt and she caught the falling rice in her skirt as she walked and followed the elephant to the royal palace. Okay. At the palace, a guard called, "Halt, thief! Where are you going with that rice?" "I am not a thief," replied Rani. "This rice fell from one of the baskets, and I am returning it now to the Raja." When the Raja heard about Rani's good deed, he asked his ministers to bring her before him. Okay. So at the palace, what did the guard say? He said, "Halt." Halt means stop. And he called Rani a thief. He asked her, "Where are you going with that rice?" Now Rani got offended. She was an honest girl. So he was calling her a thief. She did not like it. So she told him, "I'm not a thief. This rice was falling from one of the baskets and I'm now going to give it back to the Raja." So the Raja heard about this and he was very happy. So what did he do? He wanted to reward Rani for her good deeds. So he called for Rani and Rani was brought before the Raja. "I wish to reward you for returning what belongs to me," the Raja said to Rani. "Ask me for anything and you shall have it." "Your Highness," said Rani, "I do not deserve any reward at all, but if you wish, you may give me 1 grain of rice." "Only 1 grain of rice?" exclaimed the Raja. "Surely you will allow me to reward you more plentifully as a Raja should." So when Raja called Rani in front of him, he told her, "Ask for anything because you have done a good deed for me. I want to reward you. You ask for anything and you shall have it." So what does Rani ask for? She says, "I do not deserve." She's a very humble girl. She says, "I do not deserve any reward. But if you wish, you give me only 1 grain of rice." Okay. So what did the Raja say? Only he is very surprised. He says, "Only 1 grain of rice. Surely you will, I'm a Raja, I can give you anything. Ask for anything. Allow me to give you more plentifully as a Raja should." So what does Rani say? She says, "Very well," Rani acquiesced and said, If it pleases your highness, you may reward me in this way. Today you will give me a single grain of rice. Then each day for 30 days you will give me double the rice you gave me the day before. Thus, tomorrow you will give me 2 grains of rice, the next day 4 grains of rice, and so on for 30 days. So what does Rani says? She acquiesced, that means she agreed with what the Raja said. She says, okay, if you want to reward me, today you give me 1 grain of rice, and then for the next 30 days, that is about a month, you give me double the quantity of rice you gave me the first day. So if on the first day she got 1 grain, on the second day she would get double, that is 2. On the third day she would get double of 2, that is 4. On the fourth day she would get double of 4, that is 8. On the fifth day she would get double of 8, that is 16. And on the sixth day, double of 16, that is 32. So each day it would double. Okay. So what did the Raja say? The Raja says, this seems to be a modest reward, said the Raja, but you shall have it. Modest means not very big. It's a small quantity. So he sees, the Raja says, this seems to be a modest reward, said the Raja, but you shall have it. Rani was presented with a single grain of rice. The next day, Rani was presented with 2 grains of rice. And the following day, Rani was presented with 4 grains of rice. On the 9th day, Rani was presented with 256 grains of rice. She had received in all 511 grains of rice, enough for only a small handful. This girl is honest, but not very clever, thought the Raja. She would have gained more rice by keeping what fell into her skirt. So the Raja is seeing in the beginning, Rani is getting very little quantity of rice. On the 9th day, she had how much? 2 handfuls, 256 grains. So she had received in all 511 grains of rice, only a small handful. So the Rajas think this girl is honest, but she's not very clever. If she had kept the rice which fell in her skirt, she would have got more rice. But Rani was not a foolish girl. She was a very clever girl. She was good at mathematics. So what did she had done the calculation earlier, and she knew approximately she will get much more by the end of 30 days, because every day the quantity was doubling. Okay. On the 12th day, Rani received 2048 grains of rice, about 4 handfuls. Okay. So on the 12th day, she got 4 handfuls of rice. On the 13th day, she received 4096 grains of rice, enough to fill a bowl. On the 16th day, Rani was presented with a bag containing 32,768 grains of rice. Altogether, she had enough rice for 2 bags. This doubling up adds up to more rice than I expected, thought the Raja. But surely her reward won't amount to much more. Now on the 16th day, when Rani got a bag of rice, then the Raja started realizing that this is getting too much. The quantity doubling every day is becoming a large quantity. Okay. So the Raja is thinking now that, oh my, this is becoming too much. But surely he thinks she will not get much more. It won't be too much that she'll get. But what happens? On the 20th day, Rani was presented with 32 bags filled with rice. On the 21st day, she received 1,048,576 grains of rice, enough to fill a basket. So on the 21st day, she gets a basket full of rice. Now that means there are 9 days still left. So on the 24th day, what happens? On the 24th day, Rani was presented with 8,388,608 grains of rice, enough to fill 8 baskets, which were carried to her by 8 royal deer. So on the 24th day, the rice quantity was so much that 8 royal deer had to carry the baskets. How many baskets? 8 baskets they had to carry to Rani's house. On the 27th day, 32 bulls were needed to deliver 64 baskets of rice. The Raja was deeply troubled. 1 grain of rice has grown very great indeed, he thought. But I shall fulfill the reward to the end as a Raja should. So he doesn't want to break his promise to Rani, but he broke his previous promise to the people. So over here, he says, I will fulfill my promise, my reward that I told her, I will give her till the very end. So on the 29th day, Rani was presented with the contents of 2 royal storehouses. So on the 29th day, she got the contents of 2 royal storehouses. That means where they stored the grains, 2 full storehouses, grains came to her. On the 30th and final day, 256 elephants crossed the province carrying the contents of the last 4 royal storehouses. So on the 30th day, Rani had all the rice of the Raja. The Raja had no rice left for himself. Okay. So on the 30th and final day, 256 elephants crossed the province carrying the contents of the last 4 royal storehouses, 536,870,912 grains of rice. Altogether, Rani had received more than 1 billion grains of rice. Billion is what? More than a million. You add million as 6 zeros, billion as 7 zeros. Okay. The Raja had no more rice to give. What will you do with this rice? Said the Raja with a sigh. Now that I have none. Now the Raja is wondering, what will Rani do with all the rice? So he asks her. Now what does Rani say? I shall give it to all the hungry people, said Rani. I shall leave a basket of rice for you too, if you promise from now on to take only as much rice as you need. So what does Rani do? She's a very kind girl and a thoughtful girl. What is she going to do? She's going to give the rice to the people, to all the hungry people. And she tells the Raja, I will also leave a basket of rice for you. But if you promise only to take how much rice you need, not to be greedy. I promise, said the Raja, and for the rest of his days, the Raja was truly wise and fair, as a Raja should be. So the Raja learned his lesson. And from that time on, he became a wise and a fair Raja, thanks to Rani. So this is the end of the story.